Whenever a new champion is crowned in MMA, fans are quick to speculate. Who's next? The answer to this question is rather simple for Merab Dvalishvili. Umar is definitely getting the next shot. Although Merab feels Umar is undeserving of this opportunity, it will be a very interesting stylistic matchup. There are many other very interesting matchups for Merab in the bantamweight division as champion, but in today's video I'm going to try to answer the question that they are all asking. How do you beat Merab Dvalishvili? To properly answer this question, we have to dive into who Merab is as a fighter. Let's take a look at some of Merab's biggest strengths. Without question, the biggest strength / weapon for Merab Dvalishvili is his cardio. If you've been following the sport for a little while, this point doesn't even have to be brought up. It's simply common sense to know that Merab Dvalishvili's cardio is alien-like. Merab uses his endless gas tank to relentlessly shoot takedowns, scramble, and then shoot some more takedowns. In every one of Merab's fights, by that third round, Merab is the fresher fighter. No matter how many takedowns he's shot, no matter how many times he's been punched in the face, how many times he's punched them in the face, no matter what, Merab in that third round or in the fifth round, he's the fresher man. It's no secret, Merab is at his most effective when he's wrestling. Merab has explosive entries into a variety of takedowns. Merab can and will shoot from anywhere, at any time, whenever it's presented to him. Even if Merab's takedown isn't technically successful, it serves as a disruptor for the timing of great strikers like Jose Aldo, Petr Yan, and Sean O'Malley. When strikers are constantly reminded and threatened by the takedown, it halts their striking game significantly. This serves Merab really well because even when he is unsuccessful on his takedowns, his game is still successful. This unique and almost one-of-one style that Merab has is completely dependent on his endless gas tank. It wouldn't work if he didn't have the gas tank that he had. Now let's take a look at some of Merab's biggest flaws. In 13 UFC fights, an often dominant Merab only has one finish over Marlon Moraes. For those who have seen that fight can understand why it's quite an outlier. The only reason Merab got the finish is because Moraes completely emptied his gas tank trying to finish Merab and then received a beating for the next 6 minutes, completely unanswered. And it took almost a full round of a completely gassed out Moraes for Merab to eventually get the stoppage. It was something like 200 unanswered strikes. It was ridiculous. But other than that fight, Merab hasn't shown the ability to get a finish inside the UFC. On the feet, Merab lacks weapons that bring him closer to the finish, but as a grappler by trade, this isn't really a deal breaker. Great finishers like Damian Maia and Gerald Meerschaert also practically lack any threatening offense on the feet, but the way that they get their finishes is with their dominant submission game. Merab doesn't have this. When he successfully gets an opponent to the ground, the threat of the submission is virtually non-existent. Another way of achieving a finish while having your opponent on the ground is good old-fashioned ground and pound. While Merab is slightly better in this area, again, he does not pose much of a threat to stop the fight. While Merab doesn't even come close to some of the absolutely horrendous striking technique we've seen in the UFC before. Trevor Peak. Merab's striking does leave a lot to be desired. The main glaring flaw that has been exposed on multiple occasions is his habit of dropping his right hand after he throws it. This is a common error amongst MMA fighters, but Merab has proven a real sucker to a good counter left hook. After Merab is done throwing his right hand and is looking to follow up with a left hook, for example, after a 1-2-3, during that kind of combination, his right hand always returns to the middle of his chest. This flaw has been capitalized on before, as you saw, but Merab's toughness got him through. So now that we know who Merab is as a fighter, how can we formulate a game plan that limits his strengths, but also capitalizes on his flaws? Now this should go without saying, but everything I'm about to go through is way easier said than done. Being a good fighter isn't just, oh, I have the best game plan. There's so many other factors that go into it. Execution is obviously the biggest of that. So with that out of the way, let's dive into a potential game plan to dethrone newly crowned UFC bantamweight champion Merab Dvalishvili. The first key in my game plan is pressure. Now we know Merab has an endless gas tank, and relying on him to gas out would not be a good expectation to have in your game plan. That's like relying on knocking out one of the Diaz brothers. Like, it could happen, sport is crazy, but it's not something you should put all your chips on, per se. Merab is a master at controlling the pace of the fight, so I feel like pressuring him and taking the fight on your terms could cause him some trouble. We know Merab doesn't possess really threatening power on the feet, but most fighters are scared to pressure Merab because of the threat of the takedown. My stance on it, he's gonna shoot takedowns either way, and he's gonna shoot a lot of them. And although he does have solid timing and a quick burst on his reactive takedowns, I say make him shoot on your terms by pressuring him and drawing the shot out of him. Closing down the space on Merab and putting him in that uncomfortable boxing range, like that Strickland boxing range, should give any half-decent puncher an advantage against Merab. Along with, as we said, Merab's not really threatening hands or power on the feet in general. He is also sloppy in some of his boxing mechanics, especially in drawn-out punching combinations. This kind of range and pressure, I feel, would make Merab uncomfortable, and this would in turn affect the quality of his takedowns. Now this one might seem a little bit odd because traditionally you don't want to give up your back in jiu-jitsu or in MMA. But what did we talk about earlier? Merab at the highest level of MMA possesses little to no submission threat. An amazing example of this give up your back strategy working being the fight between Corey and Umar. Although Corey ended up losing the fight, he did a really good job in disengaging and stopping the effective grappling from Umar. And Umar is 10 times the submission threat that Merab is. And over in that fight, when Umar would successfully get a takedown, Sandhagen would be quick to get to the turtle, build his way up safely and not exposing his back to be fully taken, but exposing his back enough to where he can get up to his feet and start breaking the grip of Umar on the back body lock. But to incorporate this style of anti-grappling, it takes a great amount of skills in many areas. You have to be good at giving up your back without really giving up your back, if you know what I mean. You also have to be really consistent and quick about breaking the back body lock grip, whether they're doing gable grip, S grip, like the wrist to wrist grip. You have to be able to break all of those grips quickly and consistently. And you also have to stay balanced and not get tripped too much or mat returned. These are all things that you have to be really good at to properly and effectively use this kind of anti-wrestler strategy. But if you get a guy like Corey Sandhagen who can do this at an extremely high level, I think it would be the most effective way to answer Merab's grappling. Now this isn't as simple as seeing Merab get hit with that teep in the last round of the O'Malley fight and just being like, oh, if you hit him in the body, he's done. Nothing is that straightforward, and to think of it like that, super short-sighted. Merab is in phenomenal shape and he can take a body shot just as good, if not better, than some of the high-level UFC fighters. O'Malley has long, quick, and super accurate front kicks, and that one just happened to land perfectly. Body shots, and more specifically body punching, can often be ignored in MMA as they don't have those instantly devastating results that a shot to the head would have. But body punching, specifically against an opponent with great cardio and great wrestling, is always a great idea. Kamaru Usman employed this strategy in his first bout against someone who's kind of comparable to Merab in Colby Covington. Let me just list a few of the benefits of successful and steady body punching. 1, it saps the energy of your opponent. 2, you can't duck under a body shot into a takedown. And 3, if the wrestler does duck under and start to shoot, when you're throwing a body punch, you're also establishing an underhook to help defend the takedown. And I believe someone who could apply constant body work and specifically body punching against Merab would have a great chance at not only leveling the playing field cardio-wise, but also defending more takedowns and possibly even hurting him badly. Wrapping it all up, Merab Dvalishvili is an amazing fighter and is an incredibly complex and difficult puzzle to solve, as proven by the fact that he is on an 11-fight win streak and he's UFC champion. Great fighters and great coaches have tried to solve the Merab puzzle, and I have no delusions that if someone just followed this game plan, went out there, they would destroy Merab. That's completely not the case. It's never that simple, never that black and white. But these are some of the answers that I've come across for this kind of style in my time studying MMA, and maybe they could work against Merab, but you never know. I hope you enjoyed the video. If you made it to the end, thank you so much, and peace.